early 2026, and right now, the global markets are literally caught between two giant opposing forces. You've got a tech revolution on one side, just unleashing this incredible wave of productivity, and on the other side, the world's central banks are getting ready for a massive economic squeeze. This is the story of what we're calling the Great Bifurcation.
So in this explainer, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll set the scene for this market at a crossroads. Then, we're going to break down those two huge dueling forces, the AI tsunami and the monetary drought. After that, we'll see how this whole clash is playing out globally, explore 3 possible ways the year could end, and wrap up with some key strategic takeaways for you. All right, let's set the scene. The date is February 11th, 2026. Right now, if you're an investor, you are looking at one of the most uncertain environments in modern history. The path forward isn't just a little blurry, it's literally splitting into 2 completely different realities. And this, right here, perfectly illustrates that core conflict. Over on the left, you've got the AI tsunami, this wave of innovation so powerful it's just rewriting the rules of business, promising a whole new era of productivity. But on the right, you've got the monetary drought. Central banks, with the U.S. Federal Reserve leading the charge, are about to start sucking money out of the system, which makes capital hard to find and expensive. So, which one of these powerful forces is going to win? Okay, let's really break down that first force, the AI tsunami. And look, this is not just another tech trend. We're talking about a fundamental rewiring of the entire economy, and it's starting with the software industry itself. There's this term getting thrown around called the SaaSpocalypse. For years, software companies made their money by charging a fee for every single employee using their product. That's the classic per-seat model. But this new agentic AI, stuff like Anthropic's Claude Cowork, it's totally different. It doesn't just help the user. It is the user. It can do complex legal work, coding, marketing, all on its own. So here's the billion-dollar question. Who do you sell the license to when the AI is doing all the work? And this quote from mathematician Gunter Duke just nails it. He argued that for years, a lot of companies weren't really innovating. They were just simulating it, by adding more and more complex software to manage people. Agentic AI just blows that whole model up. It's a huge shift from managing human workflow to just automating the work itself. So, if money is flowing out of software, where is it all going? It's going into the real world, into hardware. Big tech is projected to spend an absolutely astonishing $650 billion this year alone. And that money isn't for software licenses. It's for building the physical reality of AI, the data centers, the chips, the power grids, all of it. Now, this table breaks down that massive $650 billion figure. Just look at the year-over-year growth here. Alphabet is projected to increase its spending by 105%. Amazon, 81%. Meta, 87%. This is not just routine investment, folks. It is a full-blown arms race to build the infrastructure that is going to power the next decade. They are pouring concrete and buying silicon at a rate we've never seen before. The economist Saifedean Ammous has a great term for this. He calls it a lowering of time preference. Think of it this way. Instead of eating one marshmallow right now, you wait 15 minutes to get 2 later. That's exactly what these companies are doing. They are sacrificing today's easy software profits for a much, much bigger prize, dominating the coming age of AI. They're literally building the factories of the 21st century. But just as this incredible technological boom is taking off, a powerful headwind is forming in the world of finance. It really looks like the era of easy money is coming to a very abrupt end. And it's being called the Warsh shock. Kevin Warsh, President Trump's nominee for Fed chair, is a very well-known monetary hawk. His top priority isn't cutting interest rates. No, it's shrinking the Fed's gigantic balance sheet. In simple terms, he wants to pull cash out of the financial system, and that's what creates a liquidity drought. As the author Ken Fisher famously wrote, markets can actually handle bad news. What they truly hate is uncertainty. And that is the key point here. The anxiety isn't just that money will get tighter. The real question is how fast it will happen. An aggressive quantitative tightening, or QT, that's basically the Fed sucking money out of the economy like a vacuum cleaner, could totally shock a system that has become so dependent on easy money. So, okay, you have these 2 massive forces pulling in totally opposite directions. Let's take a look at how this is creating these flashpoints of volatility and opportunity all around the world.
So in South Korea, the KOSP index just shot past 5,000, and that's all fueled by its dominance in AI memory chips and hardware. But it's also incredibly sensitive to any tightening of US monetary policy. Over in Europe, we're seeing this clear split. Old guard software companies are really struggling, while new champions like France's Mistral AI are racing to build their own infrastructure. And then in crypto, well, the liquidity drought has already claimed victims, like the lender block fills, which just highlights how fragile these centralized companies are in this new environment. So this brings us to the really big question. How does this all play out for the rest of 2026? We're going to look at three very distinct possibilities for where the market could end up by the time we ring in the new year. Now, before we jump into the scenarios, it's worth taking a look at a historical market theory. Edward Dewey's work on cycles suggests that the market moves in this pretty consistent rhythm of about 9.2 years. According to his model, 2026 should be part of an acceleration phase, which is like a final, powerful push upward before a major peak that's expected around the middle of 2027. So that suggests the underlying trend is still bullish. Okay, so based on the analysis of these competing forces, here are the estimated probabilities for how the rest of the year might unfold. You can see the base case at 55% is the most optimistic one. But there are some pretty significant risks out there, and those are represented by scenarios B and C. All right, let's break these down. Scenario A, the productivity boom is the most likely. In this world, the profits and the efficiency gains from AI are just so massive, they completely overwhelm the Fed's tightening policy, and that could push the S&P 500 up towards 7,400. Then there's scenario B, the liquidity crunch, and this is the big fear. The Fed moves way too fast, the system just freezes up, and we see a really sharp downturn. Finally, you have scenario C, the stagflation waltz. This is the wild card. Things like geopolitical conflicts and trade wars could cause inflation to spike while growth just stalls out, which is pretty much the worst of both worlds. So, given this really complex and divided landscape, what are the key strategic takeaways from all this? How can you actually navigate this great bifurcation? Well, four key themes really emerge here. First, think about reallocating from those old legacy software models to the new infrastructure builders. Second, use the volatility that's created by monetary policy as a chance to buy into the long-term tech trend on any dips. Third, respect that the broader market cycle still seems to be in an uptrend, so don't fight the primary trend, but be smart about your risk. And finally, especially in the crypto space, recent failures really hammer home the importance of self-custody. Holding your own keys means you're not exposed to the risk of a lender or an exchange failing in a liquidity crisis. And that really leaves us with the central question of 2026. We are watching a truly historic clash between an unstoppable force, this technological tsunami that wants to push us forward, and an immovable object, which is a monetary policy that's trying to pull us back. The outcome here is going to define the rest of this decade.